Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another session here in Readers Magnet's featured author interview. My name is Leah, and I will be your host for today. And with me is one of the Readers Magnet's featured author, and we are very happy and honored to have this discussion with him, as he will be sharing to us what this book is all about, what's the inspiration behind him writing this book. So, everyone, let's all welcome our one and only Dr. Ric Vandett, author of the book Hurdles Surviving Difficult Times. Yes, hello, Rick. How are you doing?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great as well, Rick. Thank you so much. Yes, and you know what, Rick? I'm very excited to have this discussion with you right now because I've been hearing a lot of positive things coming from your consultant, May, and of course, your project manager, Rose. One of the authors who is very dedicated about their book. And yeah, I'm very excited to have this discussion, Rick. So, before we do that, before we tackle more information about your book, why don't you maybe give us a little bit of self introduction? We wanted to know who Mr. Rick Vandett is. So, yeah.
Well, very, very quickly, I'm a retired educator. I was a teacher and a coach, a
Ooh.
high school English teacher. I coached football
Mhm.
and basketball. I retired as a superintendent of schools in Hickory, North Carolina, about 14 years ago. Responsibilities since then, but fully retired now, volunteering a lot of my time working with veterans in the area.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Rick. Wow, there's a lot of credentials that I'm hearing right now. An educator, a coach. Wow, that is awesome. Thank you so much for that, Rick. And yes, this is the moment that we've been waiting for because it's about time to know more information about your book. And before we do that, Rick, do you have your book with you right now? Will you please show it to our viewers? Okay. All right, there. Thank you so much. Okay, that's the book of Mr. Rick Vandett, everyone. Thank you so much. Yes, now, Rick, I wanted to start with
Thank you,
the
Leah.
title. Mhm. Hurdles, Surviving Difficult Times. Can you tell us what this title means?
I'm sorry you broke up there. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I wanted to start with the title, Hurdles, Surviving Difficult Times. Can you tell us what does that mean and how did you start on this book?
Sure. Basically, it's dealing with overcoming obstacles that get in a person's way toward happiness. And how I came up with
Mm.
the idea stemmed from conversations I had with players I coached and students whom I taught. At that age, when you're teenagers, a lot of them have difficulties. They don't see how they can accomplish things. And I wanted to give them the courage, the understanding and belief in themselves that they could make it. So I started sharing analogies, and one that came to me right away was comparing life as a 100-meter dash or a 100-meter hurdle race. And I shared with
Wow.
them that think of life. If life were like a 100-meter dash, and I drew a line on the chalkboard, and I said, "This is the path of life you're going to take." At the end of the line was the goal, whatever your goal is. It could be getting an A in my class, for example, or
Mhm.
getting a good date for the prom, or whatever your goal happened to be. And the
Right.
starting point was wherever you are at a given point in your life. And I said to them at that time that if life were like a 100-meter dash, the only determining factor in achieving your goal was how fast you chose to run. But I said life is not like that. And I said it's more like a
Mhm.
100-meter hurdle race. Same goal, same distance,
Exactly.
same starting point, except now there are obstacles in the way, hurdles, in other words. And so the book is about how to overcome the hurdles and how not to give up on yourself. Because I've known many people who, when they
Mhm.
saw the very first hurdle, they gave up on themselves. They didn't believe they could get over the obstacles that were in their way. So this book is a very simple approach to some consideration about how to overcome whatever obstacles. And I use the book to describe what some obstacles could be and suggest some ways to get over it. I mentioned early on, this is not a scholarly treatise. It's just a common sense approach to
Mhm.
facing life issues and some common sense ways, suggestions on how to overcome those issues.
Wow. That is so amazing, Rick. And you know what? Hearing what hearing what you said right now, I can say that this book is really helpful, from the idea of helping someone to, encouragement, uplifting people, what they have done, and by also extension, believe what they will be able to do in the future. And that also improves their belief in, I must say, in themselves, and their potential. Wow, that is very amazing. That is very amazing, Rick. And you know what? This is actually one of the most important topic, Everyone should know that the value of encouragement is that it also reveals it it also reveals the, let's say, the value of the person, right? And I must say that
Right.
it's actually a gift that everyone wanted to receive. Wow, thank you so much for that, Rick. And Rick, I must say that, creating this book is really such a successful creation, because you've been getting a lot of, positive feedback coming from the viewers, coming from the readers who also read your book, right? Now I wanted to ask Rick, are there any key challenges that you have faced, while creating this whole book?
Well, as a matter of fact, there was a tough one for me because
Mm.
my wife and I lost our son to an overdose of
Oh.
drugs 6 years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
in essence, it was hurdles he could not overcome. And I wanted to be able to share in the book some very personal things to me that were some tragedies, but also a lot of humor in the book I put. But I wanted people to understand that I know what it's like to face hurdles. I've done everything in my own life to overcome hurdles, how I see myself. It
Mm-hmm.
was difficult for me not to be able to help my son overcome his, but hopefully there are some
Mm-hmm.
things in the book that will help resonate with some people, that will give
Mm-hmm.
them some tools to help themselves and perhaps help those whom they love.
Right. Exactly. And you know what, Rick? Despite all the challenges that you have, that you have encountered, kudos to you, because I think that there are really challenges in motivating ourselves, especially when you're on that specific stage, on that specific um scenario, someone, especially when they're already thinking of that, the standard, the expectation, failure. So yes, it could be hard sometimes, as well as, you know I mean, it could be hard sometimes as well. But look at you now, Rick. On the positive side, I believe that you already help a lot of people by this book. Yes. And now, Rick, I wanted to ask, mentioning your family earlier, what was the impact of you writing
Leah, I
this
must
book?
tell you, if you can hear me, your screen froze again. So hang on there.
Oh, I'm so
Okay,
sorry,
try it
Rick.
again. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I think there's really something wrong with the connection right now. Okay, what about now? Can you hear me better?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much, Rick. Yeah, I just wanted to yeah, go back to what I said earlier, since you also mentioned your family, the motivation you have. Now, I wanted to ask Rick, what was the impact of you writing this book, to you and to your loved ones?
Um, there's been a lot of positive feedback, but the biggest
Mhm.
thing that has helped is that when I advertised the book, I told people I'm going to write it, that I'm not in it to make money, because I take the proceeds and I've divided it among two charities here in Hickory, North Carolina. I've
Wow.
given money to the Hickory Soup Kitchen and to a group called Exodus Homes, which is a United Way based faith organization that helps people coming out of prison to get back on their feet. And it's a very intensive program. And the director uses my book in the classes that he has with the people that live there. And so I donate the proceeds back to them. It's been
Wow.
positive, and I've had um, a lot of veterans have bought the book. I've given away as many books as I've sold. Uh, uh,
Right.
like I said, it's an easy read, and the only sort of downer is when I talk about my son. But the other
Mhm.
part, pretty upbeat, and I laugh at myself a lot. I share examples of things I said in my classes that I consider to be somewhat humorous, but they do make a point.
Exactly. Wow. Thank you so much for that, Rick. And you know what? I also like how you also highlighted in this book, the importance of I must say, like, what you have done right now, goal setting in life, goals also help someone to really align, your focus, promote sense of self mastery as well, because in the end, you can't really improve upon something that you don't properly manage, right?
Yes,
Wow. It's like
correct.
you saying, hey, don't let negativity consume you. Instead of focusing on, on bad happenings, why not focus on the positive side? Hang out with friends, talk to the right people that can also build up your, the change of mindset and also controls the emotions you have. Wow. It's really amazing, Rick.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, Rick, I wanted you to take advantage of this. Right now, what would you want your readers to, or let's say, what would you tell to people who would like to read your book?
That it's very simply a an easy way to look at overcoming obstacles in your life
Mm-hmm.
when you don't think you have what it takes to overcome them, to simply find out that you do. Every one of us has within us what it takes. We just have to be able to identify what the obstacle is and then consider ways to overcome the obstacle and realize that we have the strength within us. I do reference faith somewhat throughout the book.
Faith.
I never want anybody to figure that he or she is alone out there and unable to reach out, because there are many people available to help. There are many loved ones, and I point this out in the book where people can go to reach for help. I use analogies a lot. I have an analogy called uh, the pit, uh, referencing how people feel when they're in really deep depression. They're way down the
Mm-hmm.
bottom of a pit, and I talk about how to get out of that pit. I have a reference, one chapter I called the plow horse and a thoroughbred, and that came from uh, an instance when I was teaching class one day, and I was walking around class, and one of the kids said, "Coach, why do you strut so much?" And
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "I don't strut." And the whole class said, "Oh yeah, you do." And then I just looked at them and I said, "Have you ever seen a plow horse in the field just sort of working along, walking with his
Mm-hmm.
head held down?" They said, "Well, yeah." And I said, "Have you ever seen a thoroughbred walking with his chest out, his head held back high, walking?" They said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Well, y'all, I ain't no plow horse." And I just left it at that. And the point,
Mm-hmm.
the point being, hold your head up high. I don't care what your
Exactly.
circumstances in life. Believe in yourself. If you go through life like a plow horse with your head held down, not believing in yourself, you're not going to accomplish anything. You will not get over the hurdles. Act like a third.
Wow.
Hold your head up high, your chest out, and confidence in yourself, and you can overcome anything. That's what the book is about.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Rick. And it's really amazing. Do not let things that you can't control, deter you from reaching the goals you have for your future. Stay focused on those goals because at some point, everything has its really purpose. Things will
There's
get back to normal.
and
Right.
I talk in there about never worrying about things over which you have no control. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what's the point? All it does is give you an ulcer, make you sick. Concentrate on what you can control. If you can't control it, don't worry about it. Go on to something else.
Right, exactly. And you know what? It's like you also saying that, hey, don't just focus on the destination, but you also need to focus on the journey, right? Wow.
No,
That
no
is
question about it.
amazing, Rick.
The journey is all of the things we do overcoming the hurdles in our lives. And each time you overcome a hurdle, it just gives you a sense of accomplishment, that you know you're heading in the right direction, and you're learning more about
Exactly.
yourself, and you're getting more confidence in yourself.
Right. Wow. Thank you so much for that, Rick. So, you know what, Rick? I must say that me personally, I also like your book. I think I also badly need it because there are really things that can really help us, by having this book. So everyone, for those who are viewers out there, you really need to have Mr. Rick Vandett's book because again, there will be a lot of guidance, a lot of help, advices that you can really get and you can really learn. Then you can also share it to the people. Wow. Thank you so much for that, Rick. And it's really an amazing discussion with you right now. And also, I am very thankful for also choosing Reader's Magnet to be part of this journey, not just you reaching your goal as an author, but of course sharing your whole story with the world. Thank you so much, Rick. And yes, everyone, for our viewers out there, Mr. Rick Vandett's book is available in Amazon.com, Barnes& and Noble, and his website will be available soon as well. So yes, you may follow him on all the social media platform he have. And yes, again, Mr. Rick Vandett, author of the book Hurdles. surviving difficult times. Thank you so much, Mr. Ric Vandett. As we say it here in Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you for the opportunity.